Welcome to another edition of Joy News Interactive with me, Benis Abubedu. Promises to be really exciting today as I share your thoughts on things happening in the country with the rest of the world. Today we are talking water rationing. Do you have any strategy? Because the Ghana Water Company Limited is saying that as far as it doesn't rain, we are still not going to get any water. Also, bad roads, that's our Joy News agenda today. And many of you are sharing with us your experiences on that as well. And guess what? If you were really surprised that the GITMO 2 had received refugee status in Ghana, don't be, because, well, the U.S. Ambassador Robert Jackson also says, you know what, it was actually a surprise, but he calls it a pleasant one. Here's how to get interactive on Facebook and Twitter. We are Joy News on TV. We are bringing you this live edition of Joy News Interactive from digital address GA0993341. Now, if you believe in prayer, you may have to start praying that the rains will come soon, because the Ghana Water Company Limited is saying we are not going to have any water, coming through our pumps or coming through our taps unless it rains. Now, the communications director, or the director in charge of public affairs of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate, says the rate of evaporation of water bodies across the country has become alarming, and unless there is rain, there will be consequences for some communities, or we started feeling it already. While blaming bad farming practices, illegal felling of trees and galamsey activities, the water company spokesperson said if the rains do not come soon enough in Yendi, for example, the river, which is their only source of water, will evaporate completely. He also said the Tano River is depleting at a very fast rate and has warned if the water resources across the country are not managed, we will be importing water by the end of 2020. On Joy News Interactive today, we'd like you to share any strategy or tips you have. We know that a timetable is out now, and they're also saying that some communities will receive water on certain days. Let me just bring you that quickly for our Facebook post on the communities and the water they are going to be receiving on Tema. In Tema, for example, there are certain days that you receive water, but they are yet to publish the water rationing timetable. I'll bring you those details later. But quickly, let's take your thoughts on this particular one. And Wanda Salami says technocrats are just dead in the brain. That's what he thinks. No need to school anymore. And Koku says when you don't depend on whole state agencies for some of these essential commodities, their nonsense won't bother you. Walanyo Akwetia says Ghana Water Company Limited to publish water rationing timetable. Mr. Matepa, import water. What is the ocean there for? Find ways to convert it into drinkable water, as Libya did the way back in the Gaddafi era. Well, Enoch says even one V8 car can give good water. Our leaders should think big. And Kwash Wasti says, okay, he thinks the Ghana Water Company Limited is not doing too well. So there's this other post on Facebook where we spoke about the rationing, the number of days, because, for example, if you're in Tema, you receive water on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and in Teshinungwa, you receive water on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Now, let's go back to the Public Affairs Director of the Ghana Water Company Limited. Now, he said you make sure that no area is out of water for 2 days in succession. But Yabua Solomon says we always depend on God for everything. Why? Why did God give us all the sense we possess as human beings? Says, excuse my language, leaders don't think. What happens when the rains delay in coming? You're being surrounded by many lakes in Ghana. Okay, all right. Many, but may differ according to your argument of what many stands for. And says, Bob Marley, where are you? Demde Simon says, one of the northern part of the country that's adversely hit by this water shortage. Okay, are there any plans? Well, they tell us they'll be rolling out a timetable soon. Malam Nyamete says, hello, my loved ones and family. I have enough to say because for the past years, many things happen around us. Okay, it's quite a quite a lengthy one. Sorry about that. And Nasira Hassan Yaima says, the situation is very terrible. This morning, I had to walk for about 30 minutes before getting water. And, well, Daniel puts up this post again, like he did on the other story related to this. he seems to have a problem with us. Now, from water, let's talk about roads, because a lot of our loved ones, in fact, I know quite a number of people who've died on our roads. I remember some time ago there was this advert on TV talking about potholes and how they cause accidents and the need to fix them. Well, for Joy News this week, we are focusing on roads, and our question to you was to tell us the experience in your neighborhood. For example, one of my colleagues had her roads worked on in November, and we are only in January. Well, last days in January, but the road has gone bad already. Why spend so much money to fix roads and then we have them in really bad states in a matter of months, not even years? Nisenya says Kumasi Township roads are the poorest. And guys, I was in Kumasi during the Christmas and I was quite disappointed that a lot of the roads that were good have gone really, really, really bad. Really bad. And I'm not exaggerating. If you live in Kumasi, you know what I'm talking about. Selina Boatema says it's very bad at Ablekuma, Agape Town. When it rains, no car comes here. Really sad. So what happens when someone needs an emergency? For example, they need to carry someone to the hospital. La Moses says bad in Bunkrugu district. Let's pick some more of your comments. Saibu Mahmood says the Eastern Corridor Road is terrible now that we know. And Yenube says the road to the Vice President's hometown, Bunkrugu, says ask him for more details. Sections of the road are terrible. Back to Saibu Mahmood's comment on the Eastern Corridor Road. Says Mr. President, have mercy. Nana Kwisia Sari says Obuasi is worse. Survivor says Yendi Chereponi Road, very, very bad. Chantel says Watumu Road is hell. And Anderson Govern says from Patinga to Gushengu, Tamale, very, very poor roads. Isa Ibrahim says, I wish you'll capture Tamale Daboya Road in Tamale Salaga, on the Tamale Salaga Pandai Road. Yakubu Martino says, I'm still wondering whether our politicians do pass Salaga to Tamale and see how terrible that road is. Mashoud Abiola says, one thing we need to understand as a people is that education, health, road network, utilities, water, electricity, security, among some of the things that cannot be done 100% in a country like ours, where almost all the land is already new, communities with layouts, people moving in as fast as they could. Development is a process, except when our politicians keep screwing up with the taxes we pay, and frankly speaking, consume the tax we pay, we'll be paying in the future with huge interest through God knows what loan agreements that are being signed. So Mashid, you're saying two things here. You're saying that yes, development is progressive, we all understand that, but when you spend a lot of money building roads and they don't last, that's quite problematic, isn't it? And then also the fact that we are developing doesn't mean we don't deserve roads that could last 5 or even maybe 10 years, good roads, so you save yourself the burden of having to fix them, and you know, you get what I mean. Well, Salisu Cetra says, Joy News, please come down to Hohoi in Contastret. The road is worse and very poor. So we've taken you to the Volta region. Some are bringing us comments from there, some from the Upper West, Upper East, the Northern region. It just tells you the extent of, you know, the problem. And Nasser Hassan says, for Volta, most especially Hohoi to Jasikan, if there's any other word stronger than worse and terrible, I would have used it instead. Mfum Daniel says, the road at Ketakrachi is very bad. Steven says, for Pandai to Salaga Road, it's an eyesore, and Pandai to Bimbila. Dosu Enes says, very bad from Brekum to Drobo. And Adam says, Joy FM, please let your reporters come to Salaga and see how horrible the road is. Do something to help us. I think this is the third person or fourth who is talking about that Salaga Tamale route. Says next time don't vote for incompetent people again. That's from Cyrix Abu. And Kwame Nish says all the roads leading to New Ebrim in the Eastern region are terrible. The sad part is we have a big company like Newmont Ghana there, and they travel those roads too. Sure, you're trying to sadly talk of some social corporate social responsibility there. Kennedy Asante says Afram Place is a stronghold of the NDC but has not benefited from the government since 2008. All the roads are very bad, and I'm pleading that the government will consider this time. And Zoom Quality says today it's the road. He's asking if you're going to chop the road. Time and posterity is judging us too early. JM, God bless you all. Well, for those of you who have concerns and want us to look at the road networks in your town, we would consider that. And I've seen a lot of people drawing our attention to the roads in Tamale, from Tamale to Salaga. We would consider that. You're watching Joy News Interactive. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the GITMO 2 and all the new twists to it. I know a lot of us were surprised last week, but well, maybe you're not alone. When I come back, we'll be talking more about that. Please don't go away.
Where they have planted stones that people have been setting seeds into it, it's not good. They planted green grass and they were working on it and they have stacked it so that people cannot do what? Walk into it. But yet still pedestrians don't have space. And they have planted these stones over here to help us so that that place will not spoil. But yet still, they have been trying to get space into it. We are telling the whole public, let's come to our own aid so that we help our own self to develop our country.
Hey, bana metwa yaya, dondo kabasela. Chipalo chikosa kuzo. Hey, omani big, kunde, fede, maka. Hey, bana.
Now, talk about flexibility. I don't know where this guy is getting all those moves from, but he really is flexible. Now, let's talk about U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Robert Jackson. Now, he's revealed that he's pleasantly surprised to learn from the government of Ghana that the two former Guantanamo Bay detainees were given refugee status, speaking to journalists shortly after addressing students of the WA campus of the University of Development Studies. The United States of America Relationship and Scholarship Opportunities for Students, that's the reason he went there. Robert Jackson said the refugee status given to the duo, well, has regularized their stay in the country, and well, he says they didn't know about it, and they heard it on the news like everybody else. So surprised don't be, because the ambassador didn't even know about that. For those of you who may doubt, just listen to him.
I, like you, learned that they had been given refugee status from the news.
So does this come to you as a surprise?
It comes to me as a pleasant surprise because it regularizes their status. I think there's a lot of fundamental misunderstanding about the agreement. Many Ghanaians were under the impression that these people came here for 2 years and would leave on January 6th. They may leave if the government and they agree on a destination country or their home country ceases to be at war, Yemen. Right now, it's not possible for them to go back to Yemen, so that's not even an option.
Well, there you have it. Let's start with Phineas Redu's comment. He says, the fault is not yours, but ours. And Desmond Barney says, oh gosh, Mahama has left a lot of mess. So what kind of leader did we have? God save Ghana from the NDC party, never again. And that's from Desmond. Nick Vaughan says, okay, they should be returned to the Guantanamo Bay. Well, they can't. And says, why did America offer them to Ghana in the first place? Well, they were not the only detainees who were being sent to different countries. A lot of other countries accepted the deal. Abdul Rashid says, I'm sad not because of the GITMO 2, but for the intolerance of some commentators on this issue in reaction to others. We all can never hold the same opinion on issues, and this is what each person needs to understand and argue issues in a professional way. Okay, all right. We have been blocking actually some comments, Abdul. Kamal Fosu says, Ghana first, our leaders are lost. Now our president should fix the mess. We need a drastic leader to change this country. After all, at your age, you do all. And Yayima says, hey, Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. When? We always tell our leaders to be careful with these white people, most especially America. Okay, come a race issue. He's talking about that. And Opoku Jones says, you see how smart the whites are? Someone also bringing in the race card. Said they set the trap for us. And because we're not so smart and greedy, the past government got us in a trap. Now everything about this GITMO 2 is on us. Ghana, where did we go wrong? He sighs and says Mahama and NDC never again in the history of this country. Akpalu Samson says, you see, when we talk, former President Mahama did a great and unpardonable mistake to us Ghanaians. You won't understand. It's a shame for a whole president to do this. Okay, and Godson says, Ghanaians, let's come together and pray for our leaders, because some of the things they do, I don't think they are aware of the consequences, because this is a total mess. Those who are in charge of international affairs have millions of questions to answer, indeed millions of questions to answer. Talking about answering questions, this will be all for Joy News Interactive, but talking about answering questions, we'll take you quickly to Parliament, where the local government minister is expected before the House to answer questions on moves by the births and deaths registry to, exclude names like Nana, Junior, Togbi, etc., because they consider it titles. So, well, we'll be bringing you that shortly when we get to Parliament. But that'll be all for this edition of Joy News Interactive. I'm Bernice Abubedu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com, and I'll be back at 12 with the news.